daughter, sister. On some days, this would smell just... Be glad you weren't here then. My money's on the big one. Speak. Yes? What did you need? Yes? What did you need? Who's there? Yes? What did you need? 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 This leads out to the courtyard. Just head for the door. You've made it to the courtyard. Oh no. What happened to this place? Everything's been torn down. The whole place looks, well, dead. It's like we're the first to set foot here in centuries. This used to lead into the castle's great hall. Looks like my father had it sealed up. I used to walk through here after evening meals. It was beautiful once. This was my mother's garden. Do you know how beautiful something can be when it's tended by a master for hundreds of years? She would have hated to see it like this. Wait. Maybe my mother's trying to tell us something. I've never been in those tunnels before, but I bet... I've never even seen this part of the castle before. Be careful. I don't know what might be around. Who's there? Nice to meet you. place. This has to be it. I knew she was deep into necromancy. I mean, she taught me everything I know. But I had no idea she had a setup like this. Look at all this. She must have spent years collecting these components. And what's this thing? I'm not sure about this circle, but it's obviously something. Let's take a look around. There has to be something here that tells us where she's gone. You found her journal. Let me take a look at it. I only know what she told me. She had a theory about soul gems, that the souls inside of them don't just vanish when they're used. They end up in the soul cairn. The soul cairn is home to very powerful beings. Necromancers send them souls and receive powers of their own in return. My mother spent a lot of time trying to contact them directly, to travel to the soul cairn itself. That circle in the center of the room is definitely some type of portal. If I'm reading this right, there's a formula here that should give us safe passage into the soul cairn. A handful of soul gem shards, some finely ground bone meal, a good bit of purified void salts. Ah, damn it. We're also going to need a sample of her blood, which, if we could get that, we wouldn't even be trying to do this in the first place. Not bad. We'd better hope that's good enough. Mistakes with these kind of portals can be gruesome. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get started. Oh, definitely. Mother would have plenty of those materials in her laboratory. You just need to find them. Get the ingredients in that vessel and let me know when you're ready. Then the rest is up to me. Are you ready to go? I'm not entirely sure what this thing is going to do when I add my blood. Of course. What is it? I've been asking myself the same thing since we came back to the castle. She was so sure of what we did to my father. I couldn't help but go along with her. I never thought of the cost. She wasn't always, but I think you're right. She was practically smirking as we left home, almost like she was proud of herself. Like she didn't just want to stop my father, she wanted to stick it to him, too. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I just didn't expect anyone to care how I felt about her. Thank you. Are we ready then? All right, here goes. Sisters. I made the portal in soul. Incredible.
What day is it? What year? What era, even?
We live in a dark world where no light shines through.
They're watching us. Always watching.
No one ever escapes. There is no escape. Why would you even try?
Where'd you come from?
Screams. They pierce my mind. I can't. You must help me find my Arvak. He doesn't deserve to be in a place like this. Arvak, my horse. We came to this horrible place together. We were attacked by monsters, so I told him to run. Please, he's such a loyal creature, and he's been running for so long. You have to save him. A place like this will change you. Arvak! Arvak! Where are you? Arvak, please come back! Come back! What day is it? What year? What era, even?
Mother? Mother!
Megan, it can't be. Serana?
Is it really you? I can't believe it. How do we get inside? We have to talk.
Serana, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to complete the prophecy our way, not his.
Wait a moment. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
You don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you. So how has it come to pass that a vampire of mixed blood is in the company of my daughter? I find your choice of words quite interesting, considering that Serana is in far more danger now than she was following my foolish plan. Serana has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you. You think I'd have the audacity? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serana herself. When I fled Castle Volkihar, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serana speaks of Auriel and his arcane weapon, Auriel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon. Like myself, Serana was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molag Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molag Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serana, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible. If Harkon obtained Auriel's bow, and Serana's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires. And how exactly do you plan on completing the prophecy without the death of my daughter? If you believe that, then you care nothing for Serana. You see the tyranny of the sun as your... Serana? The stranger may call herself vampire, but she knows nothing of our struggle. Why should I entrust you to her?
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known her than you've done in centuries.
Dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
If you'd only open your eyes. The moment your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So to protect me, you decided to shut me away from everything I cared about. You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different, but in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again. But I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, Serana. I didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me, but for Serana's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can. Yes, I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you're in a position to breach the barrier that surrounds these ruins. You need to locate the tallest of the rocky spires that surround these ruins. At their bases, the barrier's energy is being drawn from unfortunate souls that have been exiled here. Destroy the keepers that are tending them, and it should bring the barrier down. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the cairn. Be wary of him. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the keepers, and will undoubtedly intervene if you're perceived as a threat. When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they craved. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins. Unfortunately, yes. Since the keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to breach. Time has very little meaning to me. Consequently, it has little meaning to the Ideal Masters as well. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game, each watching the other to see which will give in. I know very little about them. They're mystic entities that lord over the soul cairn, controlling every aspect from its fabric to its appearance. Well, some necromancers believe they are the crystalline structures guarding the soul cairn. I believe there's more to it than that. I think they transcend what we perceive as a physical form. Perhaps they were once corporeal beings, but they've obviously reached a point where they no longer require a tangible presence. Conduits, through which the Ideal Masters speak to their underlings and feed on their victims. The Ideal Masters' weakness is their insatiable hunger for pure souls. It's the reason for the soul cairn's existence, and the only leverage a necromancer has when bargaining with them. The ability to summon powerful undead guardians, as one would conjure an Atronak or Daedron. However, the majority of necromancers that are foolish enough to enter into a bargain with the Ideal Masters wind up here as harvested souls. Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. As you've been traveling in the soul cairn, your body has become attuned to it. Let's just say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the soul cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer. Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
kill those first things and get back to the camp.
I think between the forces of good and evil. That's not it.
You saved him! His soul is free, I can feel it! He's such a loyal beast. Here, I'll teach you how to call him to you. He'll help you get around this wretched place. But I'm sure he'd be much happier someplace sunnier. Goodbye, hero. Take good care of Arvak for me. Such a good horse.
You managed to destroy all Yes. Please, follow me. Keep watch for Durnevere. With the prison's barrier down, he's almost certain to investigate.
hear something.
Forgive my astonishment, but I never thought I'd witness it. Volumes written on Durnavir allege that he can't be slain by normal means. It appears that I'm mistaken. Unless the soul of a dragon is as resilient as its owner's soul of man. It's possible that your killing blow has merely displaced Durnavir's physical form while he reconstitutes himself. Minutes, hours, years. I can't even begin to guess. I suggest we don't wait around to find out. Now, let's get you the Elder Scroll, and you can be on your way.
Come on, she's leading us to the scroll.
Now that you've retrieved the Elder Scroll, you should be on your way. I have no choice. As I told you before, I'm a daughter of Cold Harbor. If I return to Tamriel, that increases Harkon's likelihood of bringing the tyranny of the sun to fruition. I appreciate your concern for me, but Serana is all that I care about. You must keep her safe at all costs. Remember that Harkon is not to be trusted. No matter what he promises, he'll deceive you in order to get what he wants. And promise me you'll keep my daughter safe. She's the only thing of value I have left.
Stay your weapons. I would speak with you, Quinarin. Cursed, not dead. Doomed to exist in this form for eternity. Trapped between Laas and Enoch. Between life and death. I believe in civility among seasoned warriors, and I find your ear worthy of my words. My claws have rended the flesh of innumerable foes, but I have never once been felled on the field of battle. I therefore honor name you Quinarin, or Vanquisher in your tongue. Your words do me great honor. My desire to speak with you was born from the result of our battle, Quinarin. I merely wish to respectfully ask a favor of you. For countless years I've roamed the Soul Cairn in unintended service to the Ideal Masters. Before this, I roamed the skies above Tamriel. I desire to return there. I fear that my time here has taken its toll upon me. I share a bond with this dreaded place. If I ventured far from the Soul Cairn, my strength would begin to wane until I was no more. I will place my name with you and grant you the right to call my name from Tamriel. Do me this simple honor, and I will fight at your side as your Graze Mazen, your ally, and teach you my Thum. Trivial in your mind, perhaps. For me, it would mean a great deal. I don't require an answer, Quinarin. Simply speak my name to the heavens when you feel the time is right.
The sooner we get the scroll home, the sooner we deal with it. The sooner we get the scroll home, the sooner we deal with my father. Do you need something? I figured it would be more of an issue for you. Don't tell me you're that naive. Really? Oh, wow. All right, well, what do you think my father's going to do once we bring the bow to him? Of course he will. But at that point, he'll have everything he's ever wanted. He won't need either of us anymore. You'll have shown yourself to be strong, which means you can't be allowed to just stick around. And I'll be unnecessary once he has it. Not until we have the bow, but you're right. This won't be easy, but we can handle it.
cross the bridge at your own peril. The way is dangerous, and the gate will not open. You shall not gain entry. Oh, forgive me. Most who arrive here do so because they have heard of the college beforehand. This is the College of Winterhold, a safe haven for mages in Skyrim, a place of wisdom and arcane knowledge. Perhaps, but what is it you expect to find within? Do you? It is true there are some here who have spent years studying the accumulated knowledge of the scrolls. But what you seek does not come easily, and can destroy those without a strong will. It would seem that the college has what you seek. The question now is, what can you offer the college? Not just anyone is allowed inside. Those wishing to enter must show some degree of skill with magic. A small test, if you will. Excellent. The Mage Light spell is useful to any mage, not just those specializing in alteration. Can you cast one on the seal on the ground? No? Well, if you think you're capable of it, then I'd be happy to provide it to you for a mere 30 gold. Or you can try your luck with one of the court wizards around Skyrim. They also sell spells. Here you are. Now I'm anxious to see you cast it.
Or in a cave. Anywhere.
Much knowledge lies within the couple. Well done indeed. I think you'll be a superb addition to the college. Welcome, apprentice. I'll lead you across the bridge. Once you're inside, you'll want to speak with Mirabelle Irvine, our master wizard. Please, follow me.
Dig, Dwemer in the beyond. I'll know your love. Ah, the ice entombs the heart. The bane of Kagranak and Degolthur. To harness it is to know the fundaments, The Dwemer lockbox hides it from me. The Elder Scroll gives insight deeper than the deep ones, though, to bring about the opening. I have seen enough to know their fabric, the warp of air, the weft of time. But no, it is not in my possession. Here. Well, here as in this plain, Mundus, Tamriel, nearby, relatively speaking. On the cosmological scale, well, it's all nearby. One block lifts the other. Septimus will give what you want, but you must bring him something in return. You see this masterwork of the Dwemer, deep inside their greatest knowings. Septimus is clever among men, but he is but an idiot child compared to the dullest of the Dwemer. Lucky then they left behind their own way of reading the Elder Scrolls. In the depths of Black Reach, one yet lies. Have you heard of Black Reach? Cast upon where Drimmer's city slept, the yearning spire hidden learnings kept. Under deep, below the dark, the hidden keep, Tower Mzark. Ovtan, the point of puncture, of first entry of the tapping. Delve to its limits, and Black Reach lies just beyond. But not all can enter there. Only Septimus knows the hidden key to loose the lock, to jump beneath the deathly rock. 2 things I have for you, 2 shapes, one edged, one round. The round one for tuning. Dwemer music is soft and subtle, and needed to open their cleverest gates. The edged lexicon for inscribing. To us, a hunk of metal. To the Dwemer, a full library of knowings, but empty. Find Mzark and its sky dome. The machinations there will read the scroll and lay the lore upon the cube. Trust Septimus. He knows you can know.
Alright, sorry about that. I had to switch controllers. Just because the other one was kind of having a sticky moment. Okay.
What now?
Out of my way. Talk with Dexian, the Moth Priest we placed earlier. We also take the Lexicon, blah blah blah, XYZ, we do that after that. We already did that in our other character run. Like I said, I'm only playing this one because A, we needed it to solve and show all of the other things that I couldn't do in the other game. Alright, so now with that all said and done, not what I needed.
I knew I heard something.
We're on guard.
The best you can do.
They never seem to give up on me.
Where'd you...
This is what you...
And itch at my foot, which is taking me a minute or two. So there is also a particular way of going about the Volkihar battle fight with Lord Harkenlayer, which I'm probably going to have to do. I basically have to shoot him in the shield, break his shield twice before I can full out kill him. Otherwise, it'll break. And that's just one battle fight. And if that breaks, it could constantly happen each time we try.
Yes. I am afraid I won't be able to help you with the scrolls any longer, milady. Please do not be angry with me. I'm afraid in my haste to read the first scroll, I neglected the time I needed to prepare. The failure is purely mine to bear. As you can see from my bandages, it's not that I am unwilling, it's that I am physically unable. Oh, please, milady, please, forgive me. If only such a miracle existed, I'd overcome the impossible in order to secure it, if it meant pleasing you. Although I would gladly die by your hand, perhaps I could offer an alternative way to read the scrolls. Oh, thank you, milady. Thank you. Scattered across Tamriel are secluded locations known only as Ancestor Glades. There's one in SKYrime in the Pine Forest. Performing the ritual of the Ancestor Moth within the glade should provide the answers you seek. It involves carefully removing the bark from a canticle tree, which will in turn attract ancestor moths to you. Once enough of the moths are following, they'll provide you with the second sight needed to decipher the scrolls. In keeping with tradition, you must use a specific tool in the Ancestor Glade, an implement known as a draw knife. Every moth priest is taught this ritual, but few ever get the chance to perform it. You should consider yourself fortunate if it works for you. From what I saw in the vision, the Elder Scroll which foreshadows the defiance of the gods with the blood of mortals is the key to the prophecy. Fortune smile upon you, my lady.
And with that, we now have to travel to the location of where this ritual can be performed, which is unfortunately all the way down in the area by Folketh. That means we're going to have to use the void teleportation location to get to Folketh. And then in order to get to our
Do you need something?
objective, mark our Creek.
Did you see a dog out there? Oh well. The blacksmith is offering a reward for a dog he saw on the road. I was hoping you'd seen it. I guess I'll stay on the lookout. Keep your nose clean while you're here, outsider.
I hope we reach Ancestor Glade soon.
Alright, so our objective is in the hills on that side of town, which is southeast side of town. Got it. I know the way I was going, it almost looked like I was going to hit Serrano with the blade. That would not have been good. Now, there's got to be a means of getting up there. And it seems to be that direction. As much as I don't want fighting things to get there, we're going to have to fight through some things. The reason I don't want to keep fighting through things is just simply because it's just time consuming. And we've already pushed about an hour of our time.
This doesn't concern you, citizen. You're interfering with the freedom of more business. Someone there.
Get rid of those. Give him some good gear, just to kind of help him out a little. Just doing this because of our other character a little bit. We were about to be the war hero of the other character till the war was halted by the situation. He's gonna need that more.
Son. Damn faithless Imperials.
Alright, so after freeing the Stormcloak, who was being escorted by the Hallmore away, after we stopped to free him a little, decapitation! This is only one of the many ways to complete this series of quests. So there is a way to join the vampires and then go back to the Dawn Guard, by the way. I have done it a number of times in the previous runs. However, there's a clever trick to that. One simply has to not do the Bloodstone Chalice, and then go and try to talk to the Dawn Guard, who at the same time will ultimately realize you become a vampire, and who will ultimately tell you to go cleanse yourself, becoming whatever mortal or whatever else after. But once you do that, you have to basically go talk to Falion, who controls the resurrection process, I guess you could call it. Then you can go back, talk to Isran and all that happy crap later. But being that we've already completed
Not very impressive, is it?
the Bloodstone Chalice mission,
Your friend Dexy and I are gonna have some
once you grab that chalice and you do that mission, it's basically over. You can't go back to the Dawn Guard. You've already become part of the vampire lineage at that time, and so on.
Wow. Look at this place. No one's been here in centuries.
But at the exact same time, that's only one of the other many. You can also get the chance to leave the castle, like he said he would spare you the one time, and
like
whatever else happens
look at them.
is basically, you know, what happens after the fact. But there's also the option of, as we've done, go all the way through the vampire missions and basically, which is what we're doing, we're going to the vampire side of it.
Whoa. I think that might have been what we were waiting for. Let's head back up there and see if we can read the scrolls.
But at this point in time, we are already far beyond the fact of where we It basically tells us there's both the trail from Solitude
okay?
and Markarth
Must that I
to go
lost
there.
you there. You went as white as the snow. After everything we've been through, it damn well better work. What about Ariel's bow? Do you know where we can find it? Then it's almost over. We can finally rewrite the prophecy as we see fit. Where is this Darkfall cave? Then let's get going. I want to get there before my father has a chance to track us down.
So now we are going to be ambushed on our way out by Dawn Guard. Some of the last major groupings of their soldiers. As you hear, those tinks were their arrows or bolts coming at us. I don't feel like trying to fight these guys as a vampire either. I'm just going to go on even ground and kill them that way.
Get it now while we can. You're a disgrace to your own kind.
That'll teach you.
This is where we are going. The next part of the mission, this Darkfall cave we're going to, is where you learn about the Snow Elves and their true history, aka the frustrating and far ignorant, corrupted forms of the Falmer. Like the scroll said, there was a trail from both Markarth and Solitude to the location we need to go to get Ariel's bow. But it also showed that the trail comes up this side of the river, leading up there. On either way you go, you'd have to cross the river to go up to it. Now, the reason that is because it is the safest and most indicated path. It's a direct walking route. Because there's roads, there's little to no bandits, but there is a lot of soldiers, animals, creatures going up that way.
Don't like those eyes you've got. There's a bad hunger to them.
He has no idea.
What do you think you're doing?
Where'd you come from?
Lucky him. By order of the Yard, stop right there.
Smart whoop.
So, we were arrested for biting a human in town. That's okay. That was worth showing off what that does.
You're that one from the college. Heard about you.
But that also makes us go through Solitude instead of going all the way through Dragon's Bridge. We could have kept running, and they would have sent bounty hunters after us for 40 gold either way. Really stupid, but just to show you some of the kinds of things that happen when you do that. We're back here again? So, just to show you exactly where we at it, as in comparison to the mission we're going on, we have to cross over on this side of the river 3 times, as a matter of fact. Because that water area that we're coming, or walking over, starts at the Duskfall Cave. Practically, and some other creeks and streams, but it basically starts right there. It is the 3 kind of great falls of the area that keep this area alive. The major one is the Duskfall Cave, and there are several below it. For example, this one leads to almost where we need to go. Almost. This stream is something that stems up from over in here as well. Basically, right in here is a stream. Right in here is one. And all of them connect to the area leading out past Solitude and the marshes of Martha. Basically, some people who do theories and lore-based videos were talking about if it weren't for Duskfall Cave being like the primary source of water for the area, there would be no connection to Marthal and all the vampire problems it has in this region. This region here stems to be called, what the hold in the area of its region, Hillmarch, there we go. This area of swamplands is all Marthal and is considered the land of Hillmarch. Everything from the snowy region around it and the Solitude waterway are considered other holds. But Marthal is the smallest, but far one of the most active areas in the entire game. Whiterun is obviously one of the other and the far more largest areas of holds. And basically a lot of other Jarls consider that to be the center of Skyrim, which it is. And it is the reason that it has the largest amount of land as Whiterun. But that is because of the fact that it is the biggest area. Riften has another large quantity of land, but right up to this mountain range here, and slightly over down to the edge of this side of the mountain, is all Whiterun over here until you get to right about here. Basically, they split Helgen in half for the borderline. But then once Helgen is gone, there's really no official return claim of who or which hold holds Helgen. It is basically the great fort between the two holds. But once that fort is leveled by Alduin's attack and the release of Ulfric and the hero in the base game, it officially falls into the hands of Whiterun, which then breaks the border of both Falkreath and Whiterun itself. The rift doesn't start till after Iverstead's ruin area. Basically, and Windhelm is one of the smallest areas in the entire game as well. Marthal, Windhelm, and these two holds, Dawnstar and Winterhold, all make up this vast region here, as you can see. But individually, Dawnstar only has basically up to this dwarven ruin here and to wherever the Shrine of Azura is in this mountain range here. Once the Shrine of Azura is past and you go to the descending side of the mountain over here, it becomes land for Windhelm. And Dawnstars goes right up to the edge of this indicator here. It doesn't go up to it because this entire ruin right here is under control of Winterhold. They get just up to the gate that the player can walk to before it becomes Winterhold's area. And yes, I have tried this. I have tested this out in theory and realized how that worked. Because once upon a time, I had walked in the vanilla Skyrim through this area right here on the mountain range to get to this location. And right in the first camp, right as you're getting up to the area to walk down to start scouring the ruins, I was approached by a thief and a guy chasing this thief. The thief had run right out of the gate of this area over here to a smaller area encampment hiding. I know I followed him the whole way, but before I even got out of the ruins after the thief had left, you could still see the direction the thief was going. The guy chasing him comes running up and asks if we had found the thief, and we pointed. That time I had told the guy the truth, and he went chasing after the thief. We followed, and before the guy could kill the thief, we killed the thief and got a $40 bounty for Dawnstar, which then the guy came up to us when we had finished returning to the ruin and asked if we had received his item. Giving it back to him, we then, as he was leaving going back this direction, we're halfway in this ruin's first camp. Once we killed the guy there, just because I felt like doing it, I had noticed I had gotten a $100 gold bounty for Winterhold. That made me curious as to exactly where the boundary was. And on further investigations, it turns out that this one ruin splits the boundary. Half of this ruin's first camp area, everything inside the ruin, though, goes to Winterhold. Tower of Marks ends up over here. Blackreach encompasses all of this mountain range, too, underneath. But anyway, as I was saying, this has multiple exit points. One, the Tower of Marks. If you're going from Blackreach, you have another exit point over here. You have one above Windhelm, and you have one over off into the mountain range beside the Shrine of Azura. All for just this one location. And all these other areas and exit points can only be accessed from going through here, entering Blackreach. Because the lift, or the Liften there, however you say it, Hall Liften, the ruin, has only several access points from Blackreach which allow those elevators and shafts to work. You have to activate them by button press. Anywho, long story short, shorter, still going to be a long story. I also learned of a similar situation to where these boundaries all end for these holds. Dawnstars is a very, very surprisingly small. Dawnstar only has this range of water up to, but not exceeding, this ruin. Septimus Cygnus' outpost is consistent of two different holds or a place all to itself. Because it splits 3 boundaries. It splits the jail of Winterhold. And yes, there is a jail, surprisingly or not. There is a strange jail phenomena up in this region which normally the player will never find or get to unless they are arrested in Winterhold. Now, here's the thing. There's only specific incidences which I've ever heard and seen that this jail actually exists. Anyway, Septimus Cygnus has outposts depending on where and if you kill him yourself, or if you steal from his room after he is dead, you still get a bounty. Even after he's reduced to ashes, you can still get a bounty there. If you hit, or if you kill him, it's $1,000 bounty for Winterhold. If you go up and steal his stuff from the bookshelf right below the trail that you come down to talk to him, you get a $40 gold bounty for Dawnstar. And if you were to, say, try to kill him before Hermaeus Mora turns into dust in the little chamber of the book, you instantly get another bounty for Winterhold. But then, when you go back to Winterhold, as far as I've tested, they don't attack you, they don't even know that you have a bounty. But you always have guards from Winterhold's, entourage of bounty hunters coming to find you. Which, I never knew exactly what was going on there until I had learned that there was a Winterhold jail that only if you ever get arrested there do you go to. Now, here's the thing. If you kill all of the guards in Winterhold, that bounty never goes away. You will never see any more guards in Winterhold, and you will never be able to purge that bounty from your record unless you have one of two other ways. Winterhold is dropped to the Imperial side of things if you do the Imperial War side. That's one way. You'll still have to face up to a bounty of some kind there later, but at least then you can wipe the bounty because there'll be new guards. But officially in the beginning of the game, Winterhold belongs to the Stormcloaks. Just a bit of extra details I thought you, as, people watching might and might not approve of or like, just because of how long it took. But that's just a basic summary of some of all the places in Skyrim. Yes, Chillwind Depths is one of a number of many enigmas of Skyrim. And I say it's an enigma of Skyrim for one of several reasons. All of the sources of water in each of these caves has an unknown source. Unknown. As it just starts in one spot, and the water just keeps going all the way down to where it empties into the sea by Solitude. But if you try to find the source of those places, and you can do the choreography part of it using the map to the plausible and most understandable locations where the source should be, you will find that 9 out of 10 of them do not have a starting spot. None of them. For example, Chillwind Depths should have already ended, if I'm not mistaken, right under this tree and rock. Because Chillwind Depth is one of the many cave systems that's down there that we just passed. We killed the bear by it. Its cave system stems all the way up through here and just under where this rock is. And thereabouts. And yet, nowhere is there any sort of water source or point of origin. Now, some people have argued that there might be underground hot springs, blah blah blah. There isn't. You can even see, if you were to glitch the area and do the X-ray view, that the source of water starts and ends right back there at that rock. There's no water sources around here, no starting points of water. It just shows up out of thin air. These thin air appearances of water are all what start the foundations of Solitude, Markarth, and Duskfall Cave, and all of this region's water supply just shows up from unknown sources. And you can trace them all, only I think one of them has a known location. And some people once would have said that, oh hey, the water comes from Solitude. It don't. As you can see here, this water is flowing this way. We are facing the direction from Markarth from that water stream. And it's coming towards us. Now, up here is another phenomena that's strange. Also, just saying, you can only see the little stream over here is not sufficient to make both pathways all these different directions of water flow. Here's a crazier thing. Right up here at this connection, it changes. It goes this way, and then it goes this way. And this way, which logically would not happen. Which would mean there would have to be a true huge source of water in this region. Some people would argue that the mountain could be having the snow melt, but then again, the altitude would keep all the snow and such untouched. As you could walk in it, you could see it, watch it melt if you brought it down, but the elevation and the wind chills and all sorts of geographical oddities would keep all of this unchanging. All the snow in the region would never melt, would never literally change more than maybe a few times a year. Not nearly a constant enough supply to keep all these waterways running, full of water as it does. Now, some people could argue that it comes from the Lake of Fall Creek, but, again, there are hairs with that. No connection point. Literally, it would show that there's some kind of stream running over all the way over here, but it doesn't. It stops right here as it reaches into this mountain range. It goes a little this way and disappears as well. This way has only a handful of streams, and they all either go out this direction, or they just stop in little coves and crevices like this, or like this one. This stream here, again, doesn't go all the way to Whiterun, and it doesn't even flow in this direction. It flows this direction. These are all broken and backwards water supplies. Just as an enigma and a strange appearance in Skyrim, all of the water supplies are apparently magical. because they have no official origin spot. And I have my own theories on why these origin spots are in such a predicament in the way of which they are. Because I believe in the production of the original testing phase of Skyrim, I believe that the holds were not in their official locations that they are, that we, as the consumers of the finished product, ever knew. Believing in some of the secrets and the location changes over the years, just seeing some of the things that I've noticed change from time to time. For example, there was a cave system, and I would greater show this in the other video at another time, or in the other game at another time. These areas, for example, Chillwind Depths, Cliffside Retreat, and Forebear's Hideout, even though they are DLCs, are not officially in the game. And also, the areas around this Marthal, the abandoned hut, for example, never used to be there as far as I know. Because even though you can find this hut any old time, officially it kind of shows and goes. If you were like our game was, and you decided to alternate start your location straight into Morthal at level 1 and go find this lost hut, you're likely not going to find it, because it won't be there. And yes, I have lined up the entire location, the images, the spots in the game in previous versions way back in PS3. And it literally was like it didn't exist until we decided to take a step towards those missions, like killing Gremla the Kind. As soon as we did that, even if we didn't get the mission from the kid, all of a sudden that hut appears, just kind of willy-nilly. Even if we were to go to the marshlands first, see if it was there, then go kill the old lady in the orphanage, problem solved. Even without the mission from Arantino, the boy there, the kid trying to summon the Dark Brotherhood. And that's just one other strange occurrence. And the thing is, usually when it comes to old land masses and such, it comes down to the fact that usually where the water leaves from is where most of the ancient settlements used to be, would form. For example, all I've ever been told is, during history classes and such, that maybe people have discovered something different, I don't know, but as far as I can tell, Egypt, for example, prime example, was built on rivers in sand climates and sandstone. But almost all of the cities, except for a great handful, which most of them, if they did and were built in places away from water too far, the water was forcibly brought to them. And that forced water literally was what would cause the city to be at its most vulnerable spot. And the cities would not survive more than a couple of decades, if at best. River valleys were the prime starting point for ancient cultures. But usually the cities and the holds, or as they should be in this game, should have been placed on these strange spots where these waterways start from. Mainly just because that would make more logical sense and geographical for the time period. And 9 out of 10 of what makes this game so cherishable is its unconformity. It's strange things. For example, the indecisive locations, the locations and the things people think or thought at the one time that most people of an ancient culture would be after. For example, Skyrim is depicted as most people wanting gold, treasure, jewels, and so on, which back then really wasn't the case. Other methods of trade and doing business with one another, like the bartering system. This all would not be the case. Dragons wouldn't be after people with a lot of gold. Would not be after people really at all. And dragons themselves have very few actually existing connections to the real world, supposedly. Which I doubt the truth behind some of these made-up stories I've heard about dragons themselves. Now, for safety's sake, I care and I am greatly fascinated with dragons. I have been my whole life. I collect figurines, have a tattoo, and so many other stories. And usually that's just where I'm going to leave that conversation. But theoretically speaking, the closest thing to actual ancient time culture you would have, if such a thing were in the possibility, the Falmer have it right. Cave systems, stuck right around a lot of nature water. Because that would mean less effort on disposing of waste, a lot more drinkable water, a lot more, just constant continuation of water. That's really what comes down to the most important factor of the culture of ancient times was water source. Where's the water? Who's got control of all the water? The more water one had, sure, there were other things, but out of the top 10 things people need to live, and the greater your culture was, the more water you had. Because the more people would want to try to live in the place where the most water was. Just because that means less effort trying to find drinkable water, the less time it took to actually recover, a lot of one of the basic needs. Now that's what makes Falmers really the closest thing to actual ancient culture in this game. Even sure, corrupted and messed up as they are, it still makes the difference. Whiterun? Sure, those would have come out, as some people on YouTube have previously stated, would have come out at a far later age than this depicts. Yeah, right now, what is the actual in-game year? I remember there used to be a way to see what the actual in-game era was. The time, the year, so on and so forth. Oh, there it is in the corner. So, it's technically 8:36 a.m. in the game. And that's basically 4th era of Skyrim, which is, in real life, about 200 BCE, roughly. As most people would not know, BCE stands for a particular old-timey phrase. But for me, 9 out of 10 people do not know the original words AD actually represented Anno Domini, which was a terminology given by ancient Roman culture to a time after a great change had occurred. People were unaware that the terminology was Anno Domini. Basically, the differentiation was writing, unlike what most people believe it to be. A lot of religious folks, and I'm not dissing or saying anything bad, would believe it to mean after the death of Christ. And BC, which was Adornicii, I think I said that wrong, was the Roman terminology, I believe. I said
Come
that
forward.
wrong.
You have nothing to fear here. Iron Knight Paladin Gelibor. Welcome to the Great Chantry.
That was what it used to be called before they changed it in recent times.
Auriel, Auriel, Alkosh, Akatosh, so many different names for the sovereign of the Snow Elves. I prefer Snow Elf. The name Falmer usually
anyway,
holds
back
a
to
negative
this
meaning to most travelers.
other
Those
circumstance.
twisted creatures you call Falmer, I call the Betrayed. Of course, you're here for Auriel's bow. Why else would you be here? I can help you get it, but first, I must have your assistance. I need you to kill Archcurate Vertha, my brother. The kinship between us is gone. I don't understand what he's become, but he's no longer the brother I once knew. It was the Betrayed. They did something to him. I just don't know why Auriel would allow this to happen. They swept into the Chantry without warning, and began killing everyone without pause. The Chantry was a place of peaceful worship. I led a small group of paladins, but we were no match for the Betrayed's sheer numbers. They slaughtered everyone, and stormed the inner sanctum, where I believe they corrupted Vertha. He's alive. I've seen him, but something's wrong. He never looks as though he's in pain or under duress. He just stands there and watches, as though waiting. Leaving the way shrines unguarded would be violating my sacred duty as a Knight Paladin of Auriel, and an assault on the Betrayed guarding the inner sanctum would only end with my death. Yes, let me show you.
So, all that was part of the story I was telling you about the Falmer. This individual is one of the only Falmer uncorrupted in Snow Elf fights. He doesn't like to associate himself currently
This structure
with the
is known as a
Falmer
way
because
shrine.
of the situation
They
that
were used
happened.
for meditation and for transport when the
That he
Chantry
had
was
just
a place
spoken
of
of,
enlightenment.
that they supposedly
Prelates
swept
of these
into the
shrines were
Chantry as
charged
far
with
as he
teaching
knows,
the
killed
mantras of
everyone,
Auriel to our initiates.
and he is currently under the impression that the other guy he's sending us to
Once the
kill
initiate completed his
is
mantras,
corrupted
he'd
by
dip
them.
a ceremonial ewer in the
Unfortunately,
basin
he
of the way
doesn't
shrine
around.
center and proceed to the next way shrine.
So these initiates had to lug around a heavy pitcher of water. Marvelous. How long would they have to do that?
Well, once the initiate's enlightenment was complete, he'd bring the ewer to the Chantry's inner sanctum. Pouring the contents of the ewer into the sacred basin of the sanctum would allow him to enter for an audience with the Archcurate himself.
All that just to end up dumping it out? It makes no sense to me.
It's symbolic. I don't expect you to understand.
So, let's get this straight. We need to do all that nonsense to get into the temples so we can kill your brother and kill Marla's bow.
I know how it all sounds. But if there was another way, I'd have done it long ago. The only way to get to my brother is by following in the initiate's footsteps and traveling from way shrine to way shrine, just as they did. The first lay at the end of Darkfall Passage, a cavern that represents the absence of enlightenment. There are 5 in total, spread far apart across the Chantry. Caves? Oh no. The Chantry encompasses far more than a few caves, as you'll soon discover. But before I send you on your way, you'll need the initiate's ewer. Once you've located a way shrine, there'll be a spectral prelate tending to it. They will allow you to draw the waters from the shrine's basin, as if you've been enlightened. This may be the last time we're able to converse. If you have any questions before you leave, I suggest you ask them. Otherwise, all I can do now is grant you my hopes for a safe journey.
So, we were just introduced to the situation to find Ariel's bow. Yes, I am going to have to call this where the video ends, just to save this for another time tomorrow. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch. If you didn't mind the spewing of all the facts and the change in, real world history and how it compares to my theories on Skyrim, feel free to watch at a later time because I will be continuing this for another time. However, I don't always spew out pointless history facts and my theories on why the waterways of Skyrim are officially broken. But I hope you've all enjoyed and tune in again next time.